Welcome, Michael Elliott, to The Beat podcast, president of the VMC Foundation. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Nick. This is amazing to be in this studio. I've been transported away to some cooler, more relaxing place. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I was so excited and looking forward to this podcast because of the integral role that the Valley Medical Center Foundation plays in terms of helping the community through raising funds to build up amazing programs in all of the name of patient care. And I would love to hear more about an overview of the program today, as well as maybe hearing about who you are first.
Well, sure. Where can I start? I can tell you about my childhood. I can tell you about my family and my ancestors, but I think that's going too far back. Is that fair to say, Nick?
I mean, we've got time.
We've got time. I don't know if we have listener interest. I've been here since 2007 and joined when at a time when the VMC Foundation was a lot smaller. I was the first full-time staff person hired by my predecessor, Chris Wilder. So the foundation was really, I wouldn't call it a startup then, it was what I call a restartup. It was originally founded in 1988 as a totally sort of unicorn idea of, could a private foundation support a county public hospital? That hadn't really been tried before. There's obviously a deep tradition of philanthropy within private nonprofit and university affiliated hospitals in the United States, but not for public safety net hospitals. And I think that was a miss that people were talking about way back then, saying, well, geez, this is our county hospital that's open to everyone. It serves the most vulnerable. Shouldn't we be supporting it? This is a vital community resource. And there was this group of community leaders that got together and founded the organization. It did well for the first decade, and then kind of experienced some tough times and some uneven leadership. And when I was hired, I was really in this new era, this sort of rebirth. And I never would have imagined I'd be sitting here in 2022 as the executive director doing a podcast. It's been an incredible journey that I feel so fortunate to have been on. I care about the work of the foundation. I care about the work of this health system deeply. And I'm hoping I'm making a positive contribution every day.
That's wonderful, and absolutely, and that's why you are here today, to tell the public all about those contributions, because it is a fantastic foundation that those of us who work here and community members know as well, but we hope today to even bridge that gap further. So going back a little bit to the beginning, can we talk about the mission really of the foundation and its role? Has it changed? What was it then? Is it still the same today in terms of the overall goal of what you all are doing there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nick. It's funny because it's about to change. We are in the process of changing our name, and we're going to have more news to share on that next year. Obviously, now that we are a foundation, not just for Valley Medical Center, but also for O'Connor Hospital, St. Louis Regional Hospital, and really all of Santa Clara Valley Healthcare, the whole public healthcare delivery system. Calling ourselves the Valley Medical Center Foundation doesn't work for us anymore, because we're not just about this hospital, but really, I think that name's been out of date for a long time. When we were founded in 1988, Valley Medical Center was really just this place on the Bascom campus. I mean, obviously the East Valley Clinic was sort of there in those portable trailers, and people that have been here longer than me can tell me if some of the other clinics had started then, but it really was a hospital, and this hospital system has evolved a lot since 1988, and even well before the acquisition of O'Connor and St. Louis, to be a health system and to think not just about how do we provide inpatient hospital services, but how do we achieve health in our community. So our mission right now, and this will in part stay our mission, is our job is to raise charitable dollars from the community to support the work of Santa Clara Valley Medical Center hospitals and clinics, and to support the staff, to allow the staff, to provide staff funds to innovate new models of care, to create new programs, to support patients, and to support staff. We are what I like to think of as the safety net for the safety net. And that'll always be our vision. But I think we're asking ourselves, how can we make sure that our work is really achieving health in the community? Because at the end of the day, we don't want people to come here. I mean, of course, we want people to come here for the care they need, but we want people to stay healthy and not need to access hospital services because some preventative measure wasn't taken. So we're asking ourselves, just like everyone that works here is asking themselves, how can we make sure our work is aligned with better health for the community. And so you'll see a new sparkling mission statement soon, sometime in February or March of next year, along with a new name, a new vision, a new value statement, really a new narrative about who we are and who we hope to be for the next couple decades.
That is very
But I
exciting.
can't tell you the new name now. If that's where you want it. That's your next question. Not allowed.
That
to
is
say.
why you're here,
Yeah.
actually.
You're gonna coax me out of it. Oh, what is in this water? Oh, suddenly I feel so honest.
Well, that is so exciting to hear. And the progression, it just doesn't slow down, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And through getting to know you and the wonderful staff there at the VMC Foundation, getting to hear stories of, really wonderful and generous contributions from members of the community, is that usual that there is this private foundation for a public hospital system, or is this kind of a unique situation?
I mean, I think in general, safety net public hospitals are unique to themselves. So any foundation that supports them are also unique. And our system here in Santa Clara County, as you know, I think it's the best there is. There's a great hospital that, SF General is a great hospital, and Alameda County has a good system, and LA County does. But I think, top to bottom, and in terms of just the how comprehensive our commitment here is in Santa Clara County to have a public healthcare system that is truly available to all and provides world-class services. No one's like us. So no one is like the VMC Foundation either. But there's only a few other foundations like us in the state and a few around the country. So we are different, and we go about our work differently because we're not just supporting a hospital, we're supporting a public hospital, and that comes with, I think, a higher duty and obligation to do things right and to be supporting a truly public institution. We're not interested in building an ivory tower here. We really are interested in building something that is open to all and grounded in our democracy.
So going back again, kind of to the founding, but even to today, what is the need of foundation when you have things like government support and taxpayer dollars?
Great question. I think that's like sort of cuts to the core of why we exist and why we do the work that we do. I mean, the first thing that should be obvious to folks is, a system like this one that is dedicated to providing care to the most vulnerable, there are never enough resources. I'm really proud of this system, and a tremendous amount of work and investment has been put into it for generations. But I think all of us that come to work here each day know where there are gaps and know where there are needs. And so we should be at that table. It shouldn't just be people donating to Stanford. It shouldn't just be people donating to UCSF. We should be at that table too, talking to donors, talking to people in our community that want to give, and making sure they understand that there's a need here, and every day we can put their dollars to work. But the bigger picture thing that I always tell to people is that the value of someone making a gift to the VMC Foundation isn't just about the money. Yes, the money is useful. We can buy something we needed or create a program that we didn't have before. It has some real tangible benefit for the people that go to work here or for the patients or what have you. But it's also about the champions that it creates for the institution. And for a public hospital system, it's easy for people to overlook us, or it's easy for people, I think, to not understand our value. And we need friends in every corner that we can get. And so, what happens over time with our donors is they don't just become donors to us. They become champions. They become people that are deeply invested in the success of this place. So in our neonatal intensive care unit, for example, we have donors that have been giving us for 20 years, and they're on a first name basis in some cases with the docs and the nurses that work there. And they're their friends, they're their champions, they're their supporters, and they will go to bat for us and advocate for us and make sure that the community understands, hey, this is a vital resource that we should invest in and protect. So, what I always tell the folks is, hey, it's not just about the money. It's about developing relationships and champions in the community that we need. Because when you are a hospital dedicated to serving everyone, ironically, it doesn't mean that everyone's in our corner. And people are going to say, oh, what do we have VMC? I don't go there. I go some, what do we need this big hospital? I don't understand it, right? And if you don't have people back in the community saying, no, you don't understand. Sooner or later, you or someone you love is going to need VMC or O'Connor or St. Louis. We need to have these hospitals here. We need to have these clinics here. They're super important to the health and well-being of this community. That's what our donors are doing for us every day in the community, and maintaining that public understanding and support, which we just have to have, because to your point, we're publicly supported. If the public doesn't understand what we do, they won't support us. Philanthropy is in part a strategy to make sure that public understands and values the work of this place.
Well, your passion for what you do really shines through, that's for sure.
It's the good audio. It's really what it is. It's this incredible mic that makes me sound so important.
That level of generosity and ownership from people who give and the people who understand the mission and the principles of what you're doing there at the VMC Foundation, I think it really makes a populous place like Silicon Valley really feel like more of a small town, it seems like, as well, which is really unique. More than just putting dollars to work, I would love to hear like an example of even a time when there was a need for a program or a need for some sort of support at the hospital or a clinic where you were really able to use a donor's contribution or, just your services to make something where something wasn't.
I feel like that happens in some way in everything that we do, because what we're doing is we're bringing something new. We're bringing a new resource. We're creating a new possibility. There are so many programs that exist on this campus today, people might be aware of, that were started because of donors. The Clean Slate program, which is a free tattoo removal program that's connected to a program at the city of San Jose that works with gang-impacted youth that are seeking to have gang-related tattoos, or in some cases tattoos related to them if they were a victim of sex trafficking, removed from their body. And there's a whole counseling component of this program, but they come here to get their tattoos removed through a laser that our donors bought. And this is a program that was started over a decade ago. The Medical Legal Partnership. We have staff attorneys from the Silicon Valley Law Foundation that do hours in our pediatric clinics when our docs recognize some health condition is related to poor living conditions that needs, if a landlord is not cleaning up mold in an apartment, maybe a letter from a lawyer saying you better do this or you're going to have issues is what gets it done. That was a project we started with philanthropy over a decade ago that now is funded by the county. Our Reach Out and Read program that provides an age-appropriate book to every kid in every pediatric clinic during their well child visits. That's now funded by the Department of Behavioral Health Services. We still run the program at the foundation. But that was started by donations. Our farmers market that we have now every Wednesday, that was started by donations. So lots of examples of things that and those are some of the, I think, some of the warm and fuzzy things. The work we've done in our neonatal intensive care unit, the fact that we have a family support program there of former NICU parents that are there to provide peer support to parents going through the really extraordinary and difficult experience of having a newborn in the neonatal ICU and what that's going to mean and what their experience is going to look like. That's all funded by donations thanks to our partnership with First Five. And that's been one of our most impactful, I think, projects we've had ever in our history. So it runs the gamut. And I give all the credit to the donors, and I also give all the credit to our clinical partners who bring us these ideas. I mean, it's very rare that we have the idea. We're usually just the conduit between the donor and the people doing the work. And all of these projects took, someone, whether it be a doctor or a nurse or an administrator or someone that was, on the front line working with our patients, seeing a need, saying, hey, I have an idea. VMC Foundation, can you help me with this? And so I give all the credit to our partners.
Well, I've said it once already, but what an outstanding sense of ownership that people can really have over being able to help make a difference in the community. Yeah. I had no idea about things like the tattoo removal and things like that. So I think it's important for people to hear that people in the community are making things better for the people in their community.
Totally.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And what I love, what I say to donors, like, you're going to get to work with some incredible people here. I mean, the quality of people that come to work at this hospital, at O'Connor, at St. Louis, throughout the entire system, just some of the most exceptional people I've ever met. I'm sure you feel the same. You've been here now long enough to know just like how lucky we are to be in this environment. And folks want to, like, they're like, oh my God, this person's amazing. How can I help you? What can I do? So, I want that people that work here, I want that to know that I think we do a good job at the foundation of making sure we do our part of it, but it really is, the magic happens when we get a donor in the room with one of our doctors, with one of our nurses, with the person that has the idea. That's where the magic happens. They're inspired by you and the work that you do and the commitment that you have. So that's a point I'd like everyone to know that's listening. If you work here at the hospital or any of the hospitals that are part of our system,
I say it all the time to people. I feel like I work in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood with the people that work here, and also people who come in for care.
Yeah.
I'll see people in the gift shop.
that neighborhood
often.
seems a lot more mellow. I feel like. I mean, I could use the vibe in that.
Lower stakes, maybe.
Yeah, maybe
perhaps.
lower stakes. Yes. More nap time.
Yeah, but I just love being here and being able to interact with people who are making a difference and people who are here to receive care that just have such a big heart. Is it often that people who give and make contributions to specific things or have an idea of how something can be better, what is the usual connection to our hospitals and clinics, or is it always so unique?
I think there's a bunch of different buckets. People that work here are one of our biggest cohorts of donors. And I always say, after patients, and that's the other big one, we are the most honored by staff who give. We have a very successful monthly giving program. It's our Give a Booster Shot program. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been raised over the last many years, thanks to people that work here who give us every paycheck they'll give a small contribution. That really adds up. So we have a lot of people that work here and are, they care about the mission. They want to give back. They support the foundation. As I mentioned, patients, and we're a public hospital. Most of our patients are Medi-Cal patients. They aren't privately insured. They may be people of modest means, but we get many, many gifts from former patients and their families. And, hey, $100 to us is a lot. It may not be, for some of the fancier hospitals up north, that might not mean a lot, but $100 contribution from a patient, we can put that to good work. And then, we get funding from local corporations in the Valley, from private foundations, family foundations, people that have some context for caring about health in the community and understanding that they should make some investments here. And as you said, sometimes it's give it to your what's your greatest need. Those are the donations we like the most because we have the most flexibility. But the vast majority of donations, and I would say of the money that we have right now, probably, somewhere between 85 and 90% is restricted for a specific use. And we make that point. If you want to give and you want it to benefit the pediatric department at Valley Health Center Tully or at Milpitas, or you want it to, the burn center, whatever it is, we have a system in place to ensure that those dollars are only spent to benefit that clinic or that department or that service line. And we have over 180 different funds that exist for that exact purpose because a donor said, hey, I want to support the play therapy room in the pediatric unit at Valley Medical Center. I want to support the cardiac center at O'Connor. They make a gift. We set up a fund. It only can be used for that purpose. And that's something we want our donors to know. That is the most important thing we do, is we ensure that your dollars are used exactly as you intended.
Well, we're going to drive it home even more because that was actually my next question.
Yes.
I know we talked offline last week about things like honor a caregiver, things like that. How are funds, I guess, appropriated to different uses? Is it, sometimes dollars given for use set by the agenda that you deem funds need to go to? Sometimes people give it towards specific projects like tattoo removal. Can you talk, I guess, a little bit more about when there's a time when people give funds to something specific and when they just give general use dollars, I guess?
We have, I don't know the number, but it's well over 5,000 individual donations or transactions each year. So there's a lot of specific gifts that come in. And again, most of them very modest, which is who we are as a foundation. You do not have to be a millionaire like you, Nick, to be a donor to the VMC Foundation. You can be just a regular person and make a modest gift, and that matters to us. And I want to emphasize that. I do think there is and we do this to ourselves, right? Like, We had an incredible annual gala last month, and we celebrated Gary Goodhart, who's the CEO of Intuitive, who has been an incredibly generous supporter of ours, and his company was a really important partner during COVID. And they wrote some big, incredible checks for phenomenal amounts of money that matter. But it doesn't mean that if you're writing us a check for $100, that also is phenomenal to us and matters. People come to us in lots of different ways. So we do a lot of proactive fundraising in the community around a specific campaign, a specific need that we know about, that we've selected because we understand the need is urgent and we also believe it will be compelling to our donors. A lot of times our fundraising is people that we have longstanding relationships and they just give every year because they care about this thing. They got care in our rehab center. They're a grateful patient and they just make an annual gift every year. All I do is send them a thank you note. I don't ask for it. It just happens. So, the way our fundraising work is it's varied. We have a whole team on this, and some of it is very active and we're out in front, and some of it is passive where we are just responding to the generosity and goodwill from the community. And, in terms of how we allocate our dollars, it really comes down to the donor. So the donor almost always tells us, here's how I want this money spent. And what we make sure we do is have a really clear link to the people that actually do that work. So we don't want to be a black box. We could pick any part of our system. We have a relationship with, either it's a nurse manager or the medical director or a senior clinical leader in that department. They know when we get donations for these kinds of things. They know how much they have, and they know how to access those dollars. And, our job is to make that process really seamless. So, we actually spend a lot of time, believe it or not, we spend a lot of time and effort making sure our money gets spent, because that's part of the process. It isn't just about asking for it. It's about making sure it's put to good use. So we make sure that we put a lot of effort into making sure, hey, you have money here. You can use it for these things. Like, you should use it. We're not a bank. We're not trying to hold on to this money. We want it used and put to use. That's our bias. Our bias is donors don't want it just to sit there. But of course, every project's unique, and sometimes things projects that take years to go, are very elaborate, take a lot of involvement from staff and from our donors. But it's a good question, and I've gave you a long rambling answer, but it's also the honest answer, which is that there's a gazillion ways for me to answer that question because we're so varied as an organization.
Long-winded is fine.
Yeah.
Said it before.
It's a podcast.
You have a voice for radio.
I'm not the first to give a long-winded answer on a podcast, am I?
Voice for radio, like I said. We'll have to.
And a face for radio.
We've got a few cameras around here, so sorry about that.
Sorry about that, everyone.
That's really incredible how people can give, and it's not always a solicitation. You are able to really see that generosity pour in
during COVID.
That's
Nick,
so cool.
Yeah, I mean, during COVID, we I don't know the number, but the vast majority of the donors were totally new to us, and they were hearing about us out in the community. Most of that money was money we didn't ask for. I mean, we made some initial, we made a big appeal initially. We set up a campaign. We connected with some key stakeholders in the Valley to make sure they understood the work that we were doing and the need, and that they should give to us. And then it just happened. And a lot of our gifts come from out of nowhere. And it makes my day. It makes me really excited. It makes me feel like, okay, this, because what that says is that this is moving to people, right? Like, I can give you a big elaborate pitch. I can make glossy materials for you, show you a PowerPoint. I can wine and dine you. Okay. And you'll hopefully give big at the end of that. But, it's much more exciting when people find our work, are inspired by it, and say, hey, how can I help you?
I think this goes for a lot of things in life, but I think kindness really begets more kindness. I think the level of care that people receive here, and just the hard work of healthcare providers and staff here, I think just indirectly and directly goes to show people who are wanting to show their support back. I think that's how a lot of it must happen.
I'm glad you brought that up. And, again, for the folks that work here, I just want them to know that, again, I think we do a good job at the foundation in doing the piece that we have to do. You can screw up fundraising if you do it wrong. But people are really giving because they have been touched by a caregiver, and they see you, and that gratitude is heartfelt and so deep. We get these beautifully written letters all the time with people that are just saying, I just want to thank this doc. I want to thank this nurse. They were so lovely to my family. They took, such good care of us. That is really why we have the support that we have. So, I want people that work here to know that all the success that the VMC Foundation has achieved is a reflection of people's appreciation of you and your hard work and sacrifice.
Wonderfully said.
Yeah.
I love that. Now can we switch gears a little bit and talk more about some of those proactive things like community events, Stars and Strides run, things like that.
Yeah.
Events where you're going out into the community to talk about who you are and to get people together for an event like a fun run.
Yeah. I mean, events are, we fundraise in lots of different ways. And events are an important one, and they're important because they're successful, but also, unlike some other forms of fundraising, they generate a lot of energy and they generate a lot of goodwill. So we have a pretty robust event program. We have a 5K, 10K fun run that is in July, the Stars and Strides run. It's a new tradition we're trying to build, and we've had a really successful first 2 years. We're hoping to make it a new sort of 4th of July weekend tradition here in San Jose. We have our annual gala tribute to heroes that's in September. Then we have a gala, the Nutcracker Ball, specifically for the St. Louis South County community in December. We have our Golden Golf Challenge, which is now the Chris Wilder Golden Golf Challenge. We named it for my predecessor and dear friend Chris Wilder. That was yesterday. We just had that up at Stanford. And I'm probably forgetting something. And then a number of other sort of one-off special events throughout the year. But
is the farmers market included in that as well?
I wouldn't call that an event. I mean that, but it's sort of in that same spirit of. Although that's not a fundraiser. That's really we do that because it promotes healthy eating, and we also do that because it is something that we think is a nice thing for the people that work on this campus. By the way, we're trying to find a way to bring that to St. Louis, and yes, eventually we hope to it at O'Connor as well. But we're trying to see if we can. We just got it back up here, and hopefully we can expand it now. That's as much. Honestly, when I see people that are out, on their lunch break shopping and smiling and enjoying the beautiful weather and buying a plant and some lunch and some fresh fruits and veggies, it's just a de-stressor kind of thing. And we always thought that was like a nice little side thing, but I think after COVID, we've realized okay, anything we can do to provide some joy and some respite in a day for people that work really hard, taking care of folks is pretty important. So, but anyway, lots of events, and they're a lot of work, and we lose a lot of sleep, and we sometimes say should we stop doing this? This is really hard, but they're always so fun. So we keep doing them.
Some might call that type 2 fun.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite event for you personally? Are you participating in the fun run? What do you like to do out in the community for these events?
Well, I mean, I have a sort of a work role, so I don't always get to enjoy them, or I should say, I never get to enjoy them as a participant. But I enjoy them a lot. I can't answer that question. I mean, they all have such special meaning to me, and so what I will say is that I am definitely there are definitely you will find other nonprofit executive directors that say, "God, I hate the events. They're a lot of work. They're stressful. If you screw up, you do it in a very public, visible way." So I'm not that kind of executive director. I love our events, and I get excited for them. They're still exhausting. They're still really, nerve-wracking a little bit. But I like them all equally. I will say it really did. This is totally unrelated to what you said, but there is a special project I have. This, how this is your passion. Project.
I love the podcast. You
love the podcast, and I do too. But you're I can just tell you're exceptional at it.
Thanks.
So my passion project, as it relates to my work, is, and this started over a decade ago, is we have a softball league here. I don't know if you knew this.
I missed signups.
Next year you're going to play.
Yes.
We were in hibernation for COVID, and actually the season before COVID, we lost our field. So we were out of action for 3 years, and we brought it back this summer. And this was something we started ages ago. It was actually a bunch of nurses that brought it to our attention. And I had a coworker of mine. She played Division I softball, and so she's really amazing. Hey, this is Haley on our team. She's our database coordinator. And so we helped organize this league, and it's been one of the best things I've done here. It's fun camaraderie, but I've met so many people from all different parts of this health system and every kind of job that I never would have gotten to know. And it's one of those things where it kind of levels the playing field, and no pun intended. And we're all just out there to have a good time. So we brought it back this last summer, and I was just like, I was really busy leading up to it and kind of distracted and just like, oh, this is like, why am I making my life complicated? Like, I don't actually have to run a softball league and with all the other stuff I do. But that first day out there, I was like, I love this. Like, I love seeing all the teams and everyone having a good time and laughing. And, we're all kind of older and terrible at softball at this. So we're all sort of equally bad. And it's like, fine, like if you catch a fly ball, you feel like great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can still do this. So I know that's not an event, but that's like one of my favorite things that I get to do as part of this job. And hopefully we can keep it going. We had a team from O'Connor, which was great. They had the best snacks. They did orange slices and fresh baked cookies after the game. So they were like my favorite team spirit team. So we'll be back hopefully next summer with more teams. And yeah, you'll play. Are you good?
Oh,
you don't have to be good.
I was going to do the San Jose Adult Baseball League because I missed out on the softball
Oh, so you
signups.
legitimately play.
I love it, yeah.
You're going to play hard. Okay. So you played high school at least, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. Nick, you and I are going to be talking next year.
Yeah, you recruiting me?
You're recruited. I mean, I'm signing you right now. The other teams can't tamper with you.
That's funny.
Yeah.
This has just been so enlightening. We've talked about a lot of
but has
things.
it though, Nick?
It has been.
The baseball part that you play baseball is
I'm
probably
just
my big takeaway.
excited to get out there on the field now. But I had kind of an understanding of the foundation's role in the healthcare here in the community, but I've learned even more from sitting here with you today. So we've talked about the beginnings. We'll do more episodes. I really want to do more with you and with the people you work with.
Happy to do.
Is there anything specific that you want to speak to about where you came from and where the foundation's going? I know you mentioned a name change and things like that. Is there anything else that you want to speak to in that regard?
No, other than I want people to know that we're here, and I say that for two reasons. One, if you are someone that gives, holidays are coming up. Please think about making a gift that supports your local public healthcare system. I think for the people that work here, and also I think for everyone in this community that saw, where did they go to get their COVID test? Time and again, it has been Santa Clara Valley Medical Center stepping up to the plate. And I say that name I know it's now Santa Clara Valley Healthcare, but we're still educating people on that. It's really, all three hospitals, every single clinic, everyone that's part of the system. If you want to invest in your local community and make a difference in the health and well-being of everyone, consider giving to it. So I say that, but I also say we're here for ideas. We're here to help. And sometimes we can't say yes right away, but we really try to find a way to get to yes. So never hesitate to reach out to the VMC Foundation if you have a need or an idea or something that where you need a little help. And because I think, working here, I think can be really rewarding. I know it's really rewarding, and because the work that you're doing really matters, but it's hard. It's hard physically, it's hard spiritually, it's hard emotionally, and so we hope to be a place where, if nothing else, you're going to get people that are going to listen and are going to try to help and are going to care about your success, and that's what we hold ourselves to. So know those two things. You should give to us, and you should call us if you need something.
That's really wonderful to hear. Working at a place like this, a hospital, nobody wants themselves or their loved ones to be at a hospital, but It's really important, for us to be able to share with those folks that if you do have to come here, that there's going to be people and things in place that are going to, give you the best opportunity to get your health back. And so this is just another example through hearing the foundation's work that is just the reality of being here in this community. And you, the folks at the foundation, and really everybody here is why we named this podcast The Beat. You are the heartbeat of this enterprise, if you will, as well as the community. So we just really appreciate you coming on today, Michael Elliott.
Well, thanks, Nick. This has been a super privilege for me. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'll come back anytime.
We'll do some more.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, friend.